Well, the weather for the whole of the south of England will continue as it has for the next few weeks. It's going to be hot and moist, with temperatures rising steadily as time goes on. There's a chance of steamy moments as we move into the... sod it. We never wanted to do this. We never wanted to be weathermen and women making innuendos about hot atmospheres and drizzly countries. We didn't want to be child-friendly. We didn't want to bang on about being for over 18s only. We want to talk about our sexy adventures. We want to be lifestylers, leaping from bush to bush as we sail down the rivers of British sex clubs and mountains of crazy experiences. The cheeky purple mamba, the liquid silk pumped liberally into our hand, the rodeo classic brief harness complete with Tantus curve, the Enjoy Pure One stainless steel dildo, the hot octopus digit, the ever so short messages on Fab Swingers, the sexy friends on Twitter, and the mighty vanilla alternative. With my best girlie by my side, we'd swing, swing, swing.
Get in the gym or to your car. With our advice, you could go far. We'll fuck things up when we make mistakes. And talk about our sexy dates. It's getting hard for this to rhyme. Just as well, 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to episode 72 of the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
And I'm Mrs. H.
We have some amazing guests with us today. We've talked about them before, haven't we?
Yes. You waited for me to have a sip of drink.
Why? I didn't do that.
You know I take every moment to have a sip of drink.
So you literally waited for the time for me to intro the podcast to...
Pretty much. I needed a drink straight away.
Oh, really? Is that the way it's going to go today?
Yes, I'm going to put it down now.
So we're in lockdown.
Yes.
We are isolated.
Complete isolation.
With each other.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah, no one has died as of yet. We are drinking. It's Friday night, so we thought we'd call up some friends and interview them for a change.
Yay!
But that makes it sound like they're interviewing us quite a lot.
Well, they said they were going to ask questions, so.
They say a lot of things, but let's see if it pans out to be true. Anyway, welcome to the show, Barney and Emma Stone. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Don't be shy. You can talk if you want to.
We are talking. You can't hear us, yeah?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
I muted the button and then I thought, oh crap, I've not unmuted it. Hello.
Emma Stone's literally mirroring me. I'm picking my drink up and she's doing the same.
Why is everyone drinking when they should be talking?
It's Friday and it's been a really long week.
Yes, I say we're in lockdown and there's gin. Of course we do.
You're just a
drunk
very
shame me.
intimidating presence.
But we're doing this for the entertainment of hundreds, if not thousands.
Tens and 20s of people.
Yes. I'm going to listen to this. Probably when I edit it, but not when I publish it. So we've known these guys for, it's a while now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Years? Do you know, about a year.
About a year.
Do you know what? I reckon it's probably about a year this month.
It's our anniversary.
Anniversary.
Hooray! Let's all drink to that. No one drink. Stop drinking, everyone. Everyone keep talking.
Friday. What else is there to
We were
do?
supposed to see you last weekend?
Oh.
Yeah, so we were supposed to be having our social, and they were due to come along to it, and the social has been postponed. Coronageddon.
Strikes again.
I know.
Coronageddon. I like that. I'm going to adopt that. I've been calling the news reports the Armageddon update every day at 5 o'clock.
The Coronageddon update. It is now.
It is the Coronageddon.
Mrs. H. Law.
Thanks.
That's right. So you guys have been in the lifestyle or swinging for quite a while now.
Yes. About 11 years now, 10, 11 years.
Yeah, about 11 years. Yeah.
So pretty much our entire relationship.
Yeah. For 6 months. Yeah, long time.
It's a long time.
Touched everything.
Wow. So can I ask, had you heard of swinging before you got together? Or did you discover it as a couple?
I don't know how you perceived it, but the whole, you guys have discussed it before, swinging being the whole keys in a bowl and Papa's grass and things like that. Whereas when we looked into it, we kind of stumbled across it in a way because we'd gone at it.
Was it a Friday?
We'd kind of entered the scene as such, as a lot of people do, looking for a single girl. whereas, funnily enough, our first single girl encounter was only last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
So we ended up going from chatting about it. Somehow or other, you set up a profile on within half an hour. This was back in the day. This was on Swinger Nation.
Swinger Nation, yeah.
So we started Swinger Nation, and there was lots of sort of chat and pictures and that kind of thing. Eventually arranged to meet with a couple. Thought, to see what happens, and then sort of haven't looked back since then.
yeah. I mean, that was kind of it. I mean, my exposure to swinging came a lot sooner than that. So I actually grew up with two of my really close friends. Their parents were swingers and quite open about it.
Oh, wow.
So I had a really positive view of that relationship dynamic. Still had the keys in the bowl, pampas grass tinge to it. But yeah, I mean, people that I'm still quite close with, and their kids, my friends at the time, they knew about it. I mean, I think probably very similar to you guys' situation. The kids were aware of it, weren't particularly participating around that, but were a very sex positive, body positive family. So again, growing up around that was, I think that formed and shaped part of my outlook on relationships, really.
So 2 things that are springing to mind. One, so would the title of your biography be 11 Years to a Unicorn? And the second was... Thank you. The second was, so these folks, your friends, folks, did they in fact have pampas grass outside?
They did.
Oh my God, no, you're kidding.
And interestingly, I met and knew several of their partners, the parents' partners. So it was very much all within the street and all within the environment. So, growing up, apart from knowing my friends' parents were into it, I maybe knew 4 or 5 different couples that they all played together within the town that we grew up in.
Wow.
So what was your view of that, I suppose, that first exposure you had?
Very much, I think it was just, I was kind of ambivalent to it, if that makes sense. Like, they told me, I absorbed the information and went, does this change how I look at them? No. Okay, moving on. And it was very much the same. Their daughter, my friend at the time, one of my best friends at the time, she came out as gay, and she said, and she was really nervous about it. And she told me that, look, I'm gay. This is how I feel. This is my relationship. And I was like, okay. And she's like, well, don't you feel a way about it? I'm like, no. Are you happy? Yeah. Well, then why do you care about what I think? As long as you're happy with it, great. And that was kind of my attitude with their parents of, okay, you're in this life, great. Are you happy with it? Does it affect how you get on with anything? Then fine. This is what it is. So yeah.
Okay.
So what made you two decide? Because I guess you got together before you figured you were in the lifestyle. What made you decide to jump into that world?
I think it started when, we've always been quite adventurous, so to speak. And, we were very much talking about what we'd like to try, what things we haven't done. And I think it just went from there, sort of talking about fantasies and what we wanted to explore. And then by going online and finding Swinger Nation, it kind of opened our eyes to what we would be willing to try. And I think that's still our kind of motto now, isn't it? It's, we kind of try stuff, and if we don't like it, we won't do it again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always been our approach, really, where we will make sure that we talk about it and think it through first, but in the moment, if it feels right, we do it.
Yeah. And I think like one of the big things for us, was we had 10 years of friendship under our belts before we got together as a couple. So we knew what each other's proclivities were like, our sexual appetites were like, and also we had friendship there.
Yeah.
We had a pre-existing foundation to build on. So when we got into the life so soon into our relationship, it wasn't really, it didn't really feel like it was very soon. Because we had all of that under our belts beforehand.
Yeah, so you had a strong foundation to build on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested. How has your swinging journey then evolved over time? You mentioned that you try a lot of things and you see how
Yes,
you go,
I
and
think
if it doesn't work, you move on.
Well, it has sort of changed many times, really. I mean, initially we went in with the viewpoint of either finding a single girl or playing very much exploring my bisexual side, and perhaps being a soft swap, whereas very quickly we ended up meeting couples and engaging in full swaps. And then in the last sort of 6-7 months, but just maybe before that, when you were working away, it was the case of, actually we this is really part of our lives that we enjoy exploring, and part of it for both of us is that we enjoy each other getting enjoyment. So that's part of our,
the comparison
of seeing your partner with somebody else. That is the enjoyment for us. So we'd always said same room because we'd like to actually see that. However, being apart from each other, we started to discuss, well, how would we feel about playing separately? And this was a huge change for us. However, again, it was a case of, well, we'll talk about it and we'll play it by ear and see what happens, and every step of the way. And then we went down that path, and it was actually, we both feel happy about this. We both feel that we're getting things from this that's negatives for us. And that led us down more of a kind of kink BDSM path, which is where we've gone to in the last sort of 6-7 months.
Because we were actually returning from Leeds, having met a great couple who I think they're also listeners of yours. I think maybe they contacted you got in touch. There was some connection there. Went up, we'd met them, had a great night with them, and we're on our way back. And I think we were listening to you guys, plug. And it was that Secret Stag and Vixen episode. And we listened to that and we said, okay, well, how do you feel about that? Because at the time, this is me. I'm away. I'm 18 months away, 4 or 5 days a week. And it was, for me particularly, I was going to work and sitting in hotel rooms day after day, Sunday to Thursday, week after week. And to be honest, it was really quite lonely. So we had this conversation about, well, look, there's a scene around where I am. We're on we're on Fab Swingers. I kind of run that account. So I see a lot of the activity that comes through that, and actually, what would we feel about pursuing that on a separate basis? And we had several talks, and we put lots of rules in place and how things happen. And again, those rules go through iterations and they go through different elements. And we came out the back end of that having started playing separately and enjoying that, and found that really it didn't impact our relationship in any negative way. And actually, it reaffirmed all the positive things from our relationship, because it's every experience that we have, we always filter that back into each other. We've always viewed the lifestyle as an addition to our life, not as replacing anything. I've said to almost said your name there, Emma Stone. At any point, she's enough. I could walk away from this and she would be enough. But we both agree that actually this is part of what we enjoy from our lifestyle in general. And when we speak to some of our vanilla friends and they talk about some of the issues in their relationships, sometimes we have the opinion of, do you know what? You'd be so much more happier if you just had sex with other people
and gave each other consent to do that.
Yeah, you know, it's a really interesting thing for me that, having been in this life for as long as we have, and you know, this is the longest relationship that I've ever been in, and I think it's, you know, absolutely the strongest relationship I've ever been in, and I think it is the stronger for having been in this lifestyle. Our communication is amazing. We talk about things that are on our mind. We don't let things fester. If we've got a problem, we're very happy to explore new things, and you know, really happy to explore new things. We'll see a thing, we'll read something, and we'll give it a go. And it's, you know, very similar to yourselves, where we've travelled around the world and had swinging adventures, and we've met people from all over the world, from America, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Holland, and these amazing people that if we were not in this lifestyle, we'd never have come across. We'd never have come across you guys. And, you know, we talk to you 3-4 times a week and have done for a year. And we've got like a really great banter and rapport, and, you know, we value you guys as friends. And again, had we not done that, that'd be a relationship that wouldn't be in our lives. And I think we'd be the poorer for it.
Oh, all the feels right there. And plus, she looks like Emma Stone, so that's
I miss
good.
you.
It's really interesting. It really does make you adult, doesn't it? This lifestyle. It makes you very, very grateful for the relationship you have, and you have someone in your life that understands what you need, and you can give that to each other and not have any judgment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things you said, and this is going right back to I've been writing notes. This is how efficient I've been
That's
today.
why you've been so quiet.
I know. I've been listening
Takes a lot to shut you up, doesn't
and
it?
paying attention and looking at the lovely people in front of me.
I thought you were just like colouring in things.
Yeah, we had to move the iPad. The battery was dying, and we needed to get to a plug. So now, if you're looking at our,
It's fine. I'm enjoying the corridor view. It's cool.
So one of the things you mentioned was Swinger Nation. Now, we have heard tales of Swinger Nation, which, as I understand it, was probably the for a while the premium UK swing online site until Fab Swingers came along and I assume mashed it into the ground. But tell us a bit about that. What were those experiences like?
I found it a little bit more like Facebook. So your profile itself looked a little bit glossier. It was much more kind of photo, video heavy. I mean, the quality, it appeared a little bit better in terms of interface and things. Although the style around it was a bit like Facebook in terms of likes and comments. So you'd go on, and initially you'd be, the sort of homepage would be about photos of the day, and there'd be like highest rated photo of the day. So it's much more, I suppose, exhibitionist friendly in that sense, but also a little bit not competitive. But I suppose it was.
I think it's
a little bit.
And I mean, if you managed to get a picture of the day, that was a great thing. But also, if you didn't get a picture of the day, you're like, oh, okay, must try harder.
Do some more sit-ups.
As top rated pictures. However, you have to pay, I believe. And there were like different sort of subscription levels, similar to Fab, where you could be like a silver or gold supporter. But it served a purpose. But I feel Fab is, I suppose, efficient in a way.
For 93.
It ticks a box, I suppose.
Anyone who's on Fab, knows what it's like. It's not the prettiest sort of way of presenting things. However,
there isn't much else out there, is there?
No, there's not. There are pros and cons on both.
There's a lot out there. It's just you have to pay for it, and unfortunately,
people don't want to pay.
People don't want to pay for it. I mean, you do pay for Fab. That, the reality is you probably pay about 30 odd quid a year for Fab. I mean, it's not a lot. Well, yes, you don't have to pay for Fab, but a lot of things are locked behind that paywall.
Yeah, you don't get much for free.
Yeah, no. And Fab is practically the exact same platform it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think it
looks the same, feels the same. They've added videos recently. But yeah, I mean, Fab serves a purpose. I mean, there's Double Date Nation, there's SDC, and I mean, SDC is again a very good site. It's almost got too much content, and I think Swinger Nation back then, I think that's one of the reasons why people migrated to Fab. Was there was almost too much content on it, or rather, it was a very busy page.
I get you.
So one of my other notes, just rifling through my notes.
So you weren't just doing like a dot to dot or something?
No, I've drawn a wonderful picture of Wolverine. It's fantastic. So one of the things you mentioned that your journey has evolved from looking for a unicorn to sort of playing with couples to playing separately to kink. So kink is something that doesn't come massively into our lives, but can you tell us a little bit about your kink journey?
So it's been, it's been a journey. We've kind of gone from 0 to 100 very quickly. Being very much the experimentalist / explorers that we are, we kind of threw ourselves into it. So now we found ourselves, we play ourselves in a DS dynamic, so dominant, submissive. And I think within exploring this, I found particularly that being a submissive is sort of part of myself. I always, we've always been part of the lifestyle, but knowing that finding this, like in my 30s, finding this, knowing that actually this is a part of my life that I want to have every day, which has been a big deal, really. So initially, we kind of dabbled in it ourselves, and then I started chatting to a guy who actually we met through a social, our first social. But this was the time, our first social event, where we were not looking to play separately. We were very much playing as a couple. We'd put on our fab profile that we were paying separately, and please message in a polite way. Often find that single guys aren't quite. Please, single guys, be polite on fab. But this particular person had messaged me, and then from then we have engaged in a DS dynamic for the last 7 months.
Yeah,
and fully explored everything around that. And separately, you have as well.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, the getting into kink was a little bit more difficult for me. It was something that Emma very much wanted to explore, so I was all in favour of exploring it. But I came to it with the view of, well, it seems quite aggressive. It seems quite, all the negative tropes that you might come across. That's what I came to it with. But also, we are the type of couple that we immerse ourselves in this lifestyle. So, I mean, I met a professional dominatrix in a social capacity.
You really did throw yourself into it.
Yes. All the questions. But all the questions. So I would meet people who have been in the kink life for many, many years, and friends of ours, people that I've worked with, and just asked all the questions. Yes.
And I think for me, that's how I learn anything, really. It's okay, well, what is it that you enjoy? Why is it that you enjoy that?
Yes.
What makes you feel this particular way? And then I can generate my take, my spin, my takeaway from those experiences. So, it was very much generated out of Emma's wants and needs. And I think it needs to be underlined in that capacity, because when she says every day, it is an everyday thing, and it genuinely helps her stress, her anxiety, and it's cathartic in quite a lot of ways. So from that and from the separate play, I've now got 2 full-time submissives, and that's it's almost like a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week job. Not, and I don't say that in any begrudging way, but each submissive, particularly when you have a 24/7 lifestyle, it is a lot. Genuinely, it's a lot, and the focus and attention for each individual is what you really need to put into it, because the individual is the element. I mean, I don't need to be dominant to enjoy my sex life at all, actually. And I've said that before, but everything that I do and the effort that I put into it, and the shibari classes I take, and the videos I watch, and the blogs I read, and the erotica that I write, is all focused on making myself better for the submissives that I do look after, because it's looking after them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want to make sure that they get the experiences from me that they require. And the thing that I get to put into that is my dominant style is not a physical one. You meet a lot of dominants who they are dominating or domineering. I prefer to use my words to get into someone's head and work that way. And that's how I can access that.
More psychological play.
No, psychological play is a little bit of a different thing. It's more understanding their particular need and then turning that into something that I can play with. Whereas, I've seen some scenes from kink play, and I think, bloody hell, that's extreme.
Yeah.
Could I take myself to that place to do that thing? And in most regards, with a little bit of courage and encouragement, yes, I can, because again, it's for Emma and I, it's very much everything's on the table until it's not.
But I think when you're saying with things sort of being extreme or getting yourself in that headspace or being, like you were saying, like a mental play, I think the difference for us between how we would approach the lifestyle and being now in more of a sort of kink community is having those established connections and relationships. Because if you're going to put yourself in a position where, for example, if you're into sort of impact play where you want to be spanked or something, there is an element of you have to trust that person.
Oh, God, yeah.
If you're going to allow someone to tie you up and spank you in a hotel room, like, you need to know that you're in a safe environment and have those discussions previously and have those negotiations. And I think it's a lot of people's perception around BDSM and kink is what they've seen in 50 Shades.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's such actually quite a negative view.
Yes,
oh, God, yeah. If I'd had £1 for every time I heard that.
But this is the thing. I mean, I think from being, 6 months ago, really, apart from reading 50 Shades and that kind of dipping into it, I wasn't very knowledgeable. I've made sure now I am very knowledgeable. And actually the view as well of that if you're a submissive, it's like, oh, I just do anything for my dom and I'll just do as I'm told. Actually, no, it is a negotiation. It's a two-way street. It's not all about you signing a contract, signing your life away. It's about having those discussions. The person who's dominating you needs to know what you like, what you don't like, what your limits are, what turns you on. And that's the kind of mental stimulation. So for me, going for the separate play, Barney was more, they're physically attractive and we're going to have fun physically. Whereas for me, I kept saying, I'm not finding any guys that I want to play with, because if I'm going to play on my own, I need to have that chat first that's mentally stimulating. Yeah. And actually someone who is a natural dominant, so to speak, wants to stimulate mentally and have those sort of conversations first and know about you before play. And that's what I found the main difference has been. It's having more of an established relationship and connection with somebody rather than it just being, let's meet in a club, let's play and then go home.
I mean, so my personal opinion when it comes to that and sort of like feed into what Emma's saying is there's a difference between dominant and dominating, and most of the guys that we were getting messages from on Fab were very much like, I'm going to do this to you. You're going to suck my dick or whatever. Just, this is what you're going to do for me, to me. It's about me. Whereas, and I only use this as my personal experience and the people that we socialize with and that she plays with, it's what can I do for you? And I think that's the mark for us of someone who actually takes the time and effort and care. Because there needs to be a lot of care for us when it goes into this, particularly if you are going to be,
in a vulnerable situation.
In a vulnerable situation, tied up, spanked, choked, burned, whatever it is you're into. There has to be a lot of trust there. I've just seen Mrs. H's eyes.
Yeah, I don't remember burning in 50 Shades of Grey.
Not literal burn.
No, it like depends what you're into. But that's the thing. Some people are.
Don't scare people away.
I think it has to, it's the first question I would always ask anyone is, what is it that makes you feel submissive? What is it that makes you feel safe, dominated, whatever it is, so that then I can tailor that experience for that person.
So it's an interestingly complex situation, and I think part of what I wonder what listeners may want to know about. So if they've never experienced this well before, what would you tell them to do if they're an absolute beginner?
Ooh, I'd say for an absolute beginner is, before you do anything or put yourself out there or try and meet people, is actually just go away and do some proper research. There are lots of YouTube channels. There's, for example, FetLife as a website. There are so many avenues out there to educate yourself before putting yourself in a situation, especially for submissives, male or female. I've come across on websites or even on Fab, where people who are quite inexperienced, but it's kind of like sub-frenzy, where people think, oh yeah, I'm really into this, I'll do anything, I have no limits, whatever you want to do to me. And actually that's quite not just naive, but quite dangerous. And unfortunately, there are going to be people out there who will take advantage of that. You need to make sure you are educating yourself. Another way actually that I found quite useful is there's something called a Bdsm Test. It's basically a website called Bdsm Test. You answer a few questions and it gives you like percentages of kind of what you may be into.
Like a personality profile,
but it might say you are 80% submissive or you're 50% whatever. And actually some of the...
I did one of those. It told me I was in Hufflepuff.
But actually, for me, I read some of these things. It was like, you are rope bunny or you're this or you're that. You think, oh, what is that? And that led me then to research and explore what those terms meant and what actually that might look like in terms of play. Looking at porn isn't necessarily as helpful because a lot of the negotiation and the aftercare is left out in porn.
Sorry, I'm just going to point out that Mrs. H is still laughing over my last joke. She actually can't control what she's doing.
It was a good one.
It just really tickled me.
But even BDSM porn is still very focused on the male pleasure a lot of the time.
But it's like any porn. I mean, you can't. It's like saying to someone, "Oh, I don't know what sex is. Go and watch porn." It's the same thing. However, I think it's good as a tool in terms of, does that turn you on? And if you look at that and think, oh, watching someone being tied up, I'd like to experience that, go and learn about it, go and talk to people about it. It doesn't mean necessarily that you have to throw yourself into it in terms of physical play, but equip yourself with knowledge. That's what I would say. For me, I'm very much, if I'm into something, I watch, I read, I want to learn. And also for me, as a submissive, I see that as part of improving myself, and being a better submissive is actually learning and training as such in terms of certain elements.
Yeah.
There's definitely a whole thing about educating yourself, though, that I think even just from a lifestyle perspective that people forget
it's your
about.
method, isn't it? Your Batmaning your way through things.
Well, I think you can put yourself in any of these things in a dangerous situation, whether you're dominant or submissive. I mean, the last thing you'd want to do is hurt someone in a way that they didn't want, and the last thing you'd want to do is be hurt in a way that you didn't want either. So the more you can learn and the more you can actually understand this, the better off you'll be in the long term. We went to, what was that club that we went to? Townhouse.
Oh, yes.
Townhouse is a really good club for understanding a lot more about BDSM, and the owners are really good at sort of giving off demonstrations and talking about this sort of stuff.
I think they're probably really good at policing it in a good way as well, and making sure that people know what they're doing and what they're standing up for.
I was going to say, in terms of kind of etiquette and consent, I found in the kink community, people are far more respectful than necessarily just in the lifestyle community.
Absolutely.
People generally, we have 11 years in, people generally, when we've been to clubs and things, are very respectful. However, I found it's even more so within kink. So recently we have attended Munch. So Munch is a social, but for the kink community. It's very much in a pub, just having a chat. But because there's such a huge variety of people into different things, There's no assumption. So there's no assumption that people are into sexual play. There's no assumption that they're looking to play or do anything with other people. They're purely there to talk and meet like-minded folk. And actually what was lovely was everyone we spoke to was so respectful. So there was no presumption. It was just a really respectful environment. Yeah. Probably the most respectful environment I've been in terms of anything around lifestyle or play, which was really, I don't know, I found that brilliant.
But I think the whole scene revolves around that level of consent and people adhering to those boundaries and those rules is absolutely key, isn't it? Otherwise people wouldn't trust you, and I think it's really important that people do that anyway.
But we've found that people that are properly into the BDSM world and that cross over into the swing world are universally more respectful and understand the level of consent that goes with it.
Typically. They have a level of reverence, I suppose, for what they're doing, and they treat it as something that is to be handled with care and respect. So I think that's really evident in, as you say, in all the people that we've come across, certainly.
I think also because some people have, for example, things like collaring, and there's almost like a sort of sacred ritualistic culture within BDSM. So, for example, I've recently discovered FetLife, which has been great, again, for educating myself and meeting at the moment, talking to like-minded people. So, for example, people's profiles, they'll say, I'm owned and collared. Therefore, unlike Fab, you wouldn't just message them, hey, you want to fuck, because that's completely disrespectful.
You're so street.
But this is the thing, there's that element of respect around that sort of means something within that community. Whereas in the lifestyle community, saying, oh, okay, I'm married, well, okay, you're married, but you still want to play with other people, that it doesn't, sounds a bit odd, but it almost doesn't mean the same thing, which I don't know. I found that quite interesting, but also I like the fact that there's this added layer of etiquette and respect for the people in that community. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who adhere to that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely nail on the head, because we very experienced in the lifestyle community. There's very little that we haven't experienced or I was going to say that we don't know, but that's probably a bit too presumptuous. But we're very experienced in the lifestyle community. Having gone to a kink munch, it was a really eye-opening experience for me personally, because I was the newbie. And meeting the people there and talking to a couple and finding out, well, they're into age play, but they're into a subset of age play that isn't extreme age play where someone wants to be a baby and someone's an adult, but it's a certain type of age play and they do certain types of play within another community. So it's niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. And that sort of stuff fascinates me. So I'm just sitting there all night listening to what they get into, and it was something that had never even crossed my mind at the time. Whereas what we find sometimes within the lifestyle community is it's kind of the same conversations over and over again. How they got into it, what they're into, how they do all those bits.
Hang on, don't be dissing the questions I've already asked you.
Like, oh no, that's what you said to me. But do you know what I mean? You go to a club and you've got those sort of set 3 or 4 questions that you ask a couple that you might be interested in. Of, okay, have you been in long? Are you into a particular thing? Are you?
Well, actually, I don't think that one of the big questions in the lifestyle is what are you into? Quite often, I think that just gets chucked out the window. It's much more about it's are you full swap? Are you tested? Maybe if you're lucky, and then on we go. I think I can count on 2 hands just about, but I can also count on 2 hands the amount of times I've been asked about what I actually want. Very, very rarely. I think it was only really when we went to Desire with the swing set crew where that
the whole elevator pitch.
Yeah, the whole what do you like? And that was interesting because you struggled with that.
Yeah, I did, because no one's really bothered to ask me much.
I think that's the difference. I think that's the main. Yes, we've gone on the kink road and we've kind of fully thrown ourselves into the DS and the BDSM. However, I think the main transition for me is I personally don't want to go to a club and just meet a rando anymore.
No,
and for me, I now need that mental stimulation to someone to genuinely care and ask, what are you into?
Yeah.
And that, I think that was a kind of a light bulb moment for me. Like you've just said on stage, like no one really asked me that. And the fact that someone was saying, no, tell me, you know, what are you into? What do you want to do? And we had like a month of talking before meeting. You know, I'd met this person briefly, had a quick chat, and now it was, shit, they really want to find out about what I actually want to do. And this is the thing, within BDSM, it's a scene, you know, planning this scene for you, where you're in role and you are doing things that you want to do because that person knows you are comfortable with it and knows you will enjoy it, is a completely different experience to, don't get me wrong, we've had this experience and it's been really fun, but going to a club, you know, you're physically attractive, you might have a bit of banter, and then playing with that person, that can be a really fun thing. However, having that mental simulation, talking about things, and those people genuinely knowing this will turn you on is completely different.
So, I mean, not to it home, but that's a question that I tend to ask because that's my goal in any meet that we have. I want to make my partner come, basically. You know, I want to know what is it that you enjoy, how do you like it, rhythm, pace, tongues, whatever it is, because that's what I personally get out of it. I mean, I you know, my orgasm in my mind is secondary because my priority when I do that is my partner, because that's my that's what I get out of it. I get off by getting my partner off. So yeah, I have met people who are like, yeah, they haven't had that experience. They haven't had people say, you know, what is it you're into? But I think that's a fundamental question that anyone, lifestyle or kink, should be asking.
But then how much of a conversation can you have when you're in a club, for example? It's going to be quite a brief conversation, whereas having that time to talk over days or even weeks is completely different.
Well, when you're doing the sapiosexual thing, absolutely. But I think if you're in a club, I think that's a prime opportunity. This is a menu. We're going to have sex. Here are the 4 things that you can do to get me off. Do these things and I'll have a lovely time. Why not?
So out of interest then, you've obviously talked a lot about the kink world and your developments into that. And I'm going to use air quotes and I hate myself for it. No. But is normal swinging still a thing for you, or have you found yourself evolving into something different? What's your play style now?
Well, we've kind of almost separated off.
Yeah.
So I think almost because I'm in my submissive mindset now, I have 2 doms now. So, you know, Barney is my dom. I also have another dominant. So for me, that in itself, I want to be a good submissive and I will want to play into that. So sort of going off and swinging for me is not something that I want to do. However, playing with other women is still something that I enjoy, and therefore bringing in unicorns or couples who want, you know, that are sort of playing with women within that dynamic is still very appealing. And we still have done in recent times, and I'm planning to do with my dominant. However, it is a bit different for Bonnie.
She says with a leading voice.
With a leading voice.
Yeah, so while Emma's very much sapiosexual, I am still physically attracted to people. So yeah, I will still meet couples. I'll still meet singles. Not prolifically in any regard, because I do have, as I say, 2 full-time subs. So I tend to spend my time with those people. But
it's more of a calendar issue, to be honest. Right, like genuinely, this has been the only issue. I would say that as in air quotes issue we've had is. Genuinely, yeah. Like when we were away together, we were sitting down, getting our diaries out. Like, well, you're going to say so and so, and you're going to say so. Like this. That's been the main. Like
so we are going to see so and so. Don't make it sound like
no, but this is the thing, and whereas you do enjoy still meeting other, singles or meeting couples, it comes down more of a diary issue than anything else.
So I'm curious then. So you guys have been to Mexico not that long ago. We know that you love a little bit of desire and temptation.
Oh, we do.
And we'll talk about those in a minute. But how has that affected your dynamic of going there?
Oh, I have to say, what I found quite interesting. Drink. Well, I went we went. Actually, I can't believe we were saying earlier. It was only 6 weeks ago that we actually went. So this time round, knowing that we were in our separate DS dynamics, we were still happy to explore playing with others, but we did, but it was very much with me personally playing with other women. Yeah. And that's what I was interested in, that's what we did, and that was, fantastic fun and very much enjoyed that. But what I found interesting was actually the number of other people who are into kink or BDSM who were there. And our previous trip, so a year before, because we weren't in that life, I was oblivious to it. Whereas this time around, the amount of people who we'd get a bit, chatting to and what are you into, and they'd say, I'd love to try that, or actually we're in that kind of dynamic, or, we were trying it out. I just found that fascinating. Again, it's like with swinging. You go on Fab at any one point and there's 30,000 people on there. Similarly, when you go to any big group of people and start chatting, you find out there's far more people who dip into the lifestyle or BDSM or kink or whatever it might be than you originally think. So I personally found that quite eye-opening, how many people that we met who were like, oh yeah, we sort of do that as well.
So maybe that's good. So maybe what it's done then for you is giving you access to another level of sort of relationships and friendships that you maybe hadn't explored previously then.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And it's
the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Do you know what's in there about, vanilla friends versus swing friends? You think they're missing out. Once, we really started getting into kink, for us personally, it's like, all of our swing friends that aren't into kink, maybe you're missing out. And again, that's very much a joking way of saying that, but we've been together for over 11 years now, and swing brought a new dynamic to our sex life, and now kink's brought a whole new dynamic, and kink's not just one thing. We've discovered thing after thing after thing after thing that we're into, and every day can be a new experience in that particular thing.
So where does your rainbow end? What's when you reach the end of that?
That's what I love about it, I think, in a way, because
you run out of things.
If you can think of it, it's a thing. And I think we're very, obviously very liberal in our views about things, and we're very happy to explore and learn and try things out. And I think because that's how we go about a lot of things in our life, we've got a lot of enjoyment and pleasure from it. And actually, bringing in new people that we genuinely care about, which has been amazing, actually.
Yeah, which is lovely. I mean, we spent New Year's this year with a couple that we met at a social, and when we met them at that social, we thought, maybe they're a bit standoffish or anything, but no, we started messaging and meeting up, and we speak to each other all the time, and I just sort of look at that thing of 6 months ago, I didn't know you, and now I'm spending New Year's Eve with you at Vanilla Alternative.
Hang on.
Thanks
for bringing up New Year's Eve again.
Yeah, brilliant. I was going to say, let's not.
He's only just stopped talking about the bloody thing.
You know that we looked at going to Vanilla Alternative, and then we took the decision to go somewhere else.
There's going to be other opportunities to go to Vanilla Alternative.
It's kismet. Everything happens for a reason.
I find it amazing that you meet great people and friends, but actually, genuine relationships in a way through either the lifestyle or through kink, which has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, Emma was absolutely enough for me, but I can't imagine our lives being as rich as they are without the lifestyle that we currently lead.
We said something very similar a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I think you might have listened to our latest show.
We
Things
could,
getting better.
if we had to, or if we both agreed that was the best thing for our relationship and that would come first, we would absolutely walk away from this and we would, put each other's needs first. However, we kind of looked at each other and thought that our lives are richer for having the love and the relationships and the dynamics that we've been lucky enough to encounter. I mean, yes, it's had bumps in the road and we've met some strange people, but actually on the whole, we've met amazing people who have filled our hearts and our lives with nothing but amazing fun and laughter and love. So I like to think that this is around for a while.
So I've got a couple of questions left for you. And you may not.
Do we have to rate your Wolverine picture?
No, that's fine.
And we're on Skype. You need to show us the movie.
Yeah.
Get drawing.
Is it you with
It needs to go
balls?
on Twitter.
I can't move it out because the microphone is in the way, fortunately, so you don't get to laugh at it.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah, that old chestnut. So one of the things that we've talked about a little bit with you guys is your love of desire and temptation. And we've touched on it a little bit there, but for many people, especially in the UK, they won't have had the chance necessarily to go to these I'm going to use the word magical places.
Far-flung destinations. Yeah.
And for those that hang on, give me a chance, bloody Barney. Give me a bloody chance. All right. Let me monologue just a little bit. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of these places. In a very succinct, because there's only a limited amount of time left. Way, what has been your drive? What has been your feeling about going out there?
So, in the most succinct way possible, that is my personal happy place.
Aww.
You told me it was lying in my lap.
Having a Joey and Ross style nap together.
Just when you stroke my face. Genuinely, I've said this for a number of years now, because we've been going to Temptation for 5 years. We are members there. We bought in on our second trip. Basically just a timeshare, but it's very much worth it if you do go. But it's the sort of place where we do a 10, 11 hour flight, depends on the flight. I get there, I get to our room, I get to the sky bar, whatever it is, and I can just feel myself decompress, because for me, I'm surrounded by my tribe. Not everyone there by any means is in the lifestyle. Probably 40% of the people there are lifestyle, but everyone there is there to have a good time. They're nice. I very rarely met anyone that I would consider an asshole that was there. One of them was a Scots guy, and I was like, fucking hell, you would have one asshole that I meet, bloody Scottish. But it's that thing where every time we go, we meet amazing people. We eat amazing food. We have a great time. We get involved. We do the games. We do the theme nights. And we end up, hooking up with couples, singles, orgies, whatever it is. We live our lifestyle without ever feeling the need to hide who we are. And when we're in the UK, while we have a significant amount of lifestyle friends, we do have some vanilla friends. And we do find sometimes that when we go and spend time with our vanilla friends and they ask what we did and how it was New Year and all that sort of stuff, we skirt the truth or we lie, and I don't really enjoy doing that. And it's not that we don't tell any of our vanilla friends about our lifestyle in any way. It's we have certain friends who we know would not view us the same way.
Can I ask you a quick question very briefly before Emma Stone gives us her little version as well? Going back to the very beginning, Barney, when we were talking about your life prior to being with Emma Stone and how you'd grown up around those kind of peer groups and those that kind of exposure to lifestyle and swinging being acceptable and sex positive, and now you've just said how hard it is to be yourself around friends that don't understand. And do you ever wish that you could? Do you ever think back and think, well, I kind of had this from a much earlier age and like I was okay with it, and this is really hard now that people don't want to accept it?
Yeah, I mean, we've joked, and I mean this in the most flippant way that it is going to come across, but it's almost more socially unacceptable to be a swinger than it potentially was to be gay.
Yeah, I agree.
Or even on parallel of potentially being trans in some communities. People can sometimes have the view of, we've experienced that. I mean, people that we're incredibly close with, and we have told them, and some people have reacted absolutely fantastically, and I've even enjoyed some experiences themselves. Other people have gone so far the other way that it's destroyed a relationship. And with some of our close friends, I mean, we've always tried to be honest with them, and we have floated certain scenarios. Have you heard this person has an open relationship with X, and the vitriol that comes from them sometimes about what a marriage really is tells us that this is not a conversation to have with them, and so it means we have to hide that lifestyle if we want to maintain the friendship.
It's so difficult to live with those judgments, isn't it? When that immediate stereotype we jump to is, you just do a bit of wife swapping then. Brilliant.
and we've had this conversation before, like the four of us, where I'm very similar to yourself, where I will happily have a conversation with someone. If they have some questions, I will answer your questions. What I'm not going to do is engage in your preconceptions or your misconceptions and feed into that and make it a joke, because this is our lifestyle and it is something that we are passionate about, and it's something that we want to promote as a positive thing. But I'd never like my lifestyle to be mocked or just an object to ridicule that some people would take into it.
I guess the tricky thing is, though, if you compare it to being gay or being trans, whatever, is that those things are intrinsically within somebody and they are who they are. And I guess as much as swinging might be or being ethically non-monogamous might be within your blood, actually it is a choice. It is you decide to be that thing.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's a lot harder to get people to understand it, and especially when it's sort of extremely against social norms. And hey, I'm a promoter, so I've got 101 reasons as to why it could absolutely really help a relationship. But also, to a certain extent, I 100% agree that for some people it just isn't for them. It just wouldn't work. And I mean,
some people we've met, it's like they take it as a judgment or an attack on their chosen lifestyle, rather than promotion or asking to be accepted for your lifestyle.
Absolutely. And people want you to offer up some sort of almost excuse for doing what you're doing so they can destroy it. In a way, we've definitely been there before. So okay, before we close this up, because we've been going for nearly an hour, we're doing quite well, guys. Very well.
All be edited down, it's fine.
No, I'm we've got 2 days before this comes out. The chances of any editing is very, very completely slim at the time. And I've done very well in that I've gone at least an hour talking to Emma Stone without mentioning the word anal. I'm doing quite well.
But you were thinking it all this time.
I was thinking it.
That picture you've drawn.
But one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you is that we the last time we spoke to you, and the last time our gentle listeners would have heard your voices were at your social.
Oh yes.
Yes, indeed.
So
I apologise for how drunk I sounded.
Well, I
apologise how drunk I sounded.
We were all pretty drunk.
I
don't
think
worry.
as a 4, our blood count and alcohol. See, I can't even say it. Alcohol count was probably much higher than legally needed. However,
no judgment here.
So as Unseen Lounge, you guys have created a social up in Nottingham. The success of that has been absolutely fantastic. The feedback has been great. The people we've spoken to have been amazing. We've had listeners get in touch and tell us about the fun times that they've had there. How do you go from just I'll blow more smoke, but
stroking his ego.
I know he enjoys it. So we've you kind of gone from this swinging lifestyle. You've gone from this absolute journey to this kink place, and at the same time, you've also started off this social designed to help get people together. Tell us a bit about that.
She looks
Well,
at me.
I think initially, slightly selfish reasons, we wanted to meet people who were like-minded. So we moved from Buckinghamshire up to Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire area.
A lot of Shire.
All the shires, yeah. What shire is next?
This thing, and it was the case of actually, not only do we enjoy playing with people, we enjoy people with the same interests.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of friends who are also lifestyle and also actually kink, and we put a club together and initially began the socials, and that's kind of how it started. And it's evolved since then.
I mean, we wanted to attend one, and you know,
that was another reason.
We'd heard about the Bristol Social, and that's quite a large one. I think it's probably one of the best known ones.
It's also the noisiest fucking social that I've. I'm still angry about that place. Literally, you could be talking to me, right? So if you just carry on talking normally, I'll replicate for listeners what it's like being at that social.
Tell me about the noise there.
Exactly.
But
Not a lie.
And the reality was there just wasn't one.
Not locally at all.
We just kind of said, well, fuck it. You know, if there isn't one, we'll try one. So like I said, we talked to a couple of our friends. They thought it was a great idea, so we all pitched in together. Our first one had about 60 people. Rented out a restaurant, which was probably a little bit overzealous of us.
It was the kind of
nice.
The restaurant area of a nice pub.
Yeah.
So you
Had a bit of food.
basically you field of dreamed it.
We very much feel
We
the dream.
did, but I think it was a good starting
Yeah.
point though, because it was a venue that wasn't too large.
Yeah.
We learned from perhaps like mistakes of ordering too many chips.
Oh, God. Choke a
But
horse.
it was a great
That's a
starting
phrase.
point of, do you know what? There are actually a lot of people
Yeah.
who have said, this is great, and we've enjoyed it. And we said the people that we've met there, that's initially how I met my Dom. That's initially how we met two of our close friends who we went to New Year's with.
Yeah.
We met the other couple from Leeds. Like we've met and our dominatrix friend.
Yeah.
We've actually met loads of great people just from our first social event. And from then it was, do you know what? That was really positive, lots of fun. However, this is what we can do next.
Yeah.
So the next one was better. And
Yeah.
actually I think subsequently each time they've got better and better. And the one that we did have planned, which will be rearranged soon. Don't worry. But we were actually really excited about it because we stumbled across this amazing venue in Nottingham that we thought, this will be fantastic. And now that we have sort of between 120, 150 people coming to the events, it meant that it was a space that we could hire and people would have a great time. And for us, it's not all about, right, we're going to meet people because we want to hook up. It's about meeting people who, perhaps want to learn, people who want to meet people for social reasons, or people who want to meet and connect and then meet people to play elsewhere. So that's what it's been for us.
No, that was one of the most important things for me when I was putting it together was there wasn't this, or rather we didn't know about it if it did exist when we started in this. So much like you guys have said, here's all of our mistakes. This is very much aimed at newbies. I mean, we have lots and lots of veteran swingers, established swingers attend, but it's a great venue for newbies because it's no play, there's no pressure, and again, it's all about that. Make some friends, make some connections without that pressure of play. Because we've talked to lots of people from anyone from 18 to 60, that we've learned amazing stories of and amazing experiences and recommendations, and it's conversations that personally I probably wouldn't have had I met them in a club. Because again, when you're in a club environment, you go in with a hope rather than an agenda, a hope that you'll meet someone that you're attracted to, that they're attracted to you as well, and you get to have that fun experience at a club. If that's your only exposure to the lifestyle, it can feel a little bit transactional. Whereas I have people that I've met out of our socials that have become fast friends. They go out horse riding together. They're on the chats together. I mean, even now, we've got old chat groups that have now started doing a mini pub quiz.
Nice.
just keeping in touch with each other. And for me, like I'm not inputting into this whatsoever, but it's such a lovely thing for me to just have that little touch point where I think I put that little thing together, or we put that little thing together, and there's a connection and there's a community there.
Are you hoping that one day when one of them gets married, you'll be invited to the wedding? Like Cilla Black?
It's a free
like a surprise, no, like a blind date kind of thing. The first social swinger hybrid crossover wedding event.
I would definitely turn up to that.
Do you know what? I think the socials are a fantastic idea. And, you know, God knows we've been to some socials that have been lousy, and we've gone away going, we could do this better. And, you know, you're absolutely right. It's a great way of bringing like-minded people together who just want to get to know people. And there's no, you know, slutty undertone. Unless there's an after party.
I think, darling, you're forgetting that their social was very good, and we enjoyed it a lot. Yes, you need to sort of mention that.
Well, I'm saying, you know, socials are fantastic. Like, well done on you.
It's a good thing for the community, I think, and in a way, anything that brings new people into the lifestyle benefits everybody. It means, you know, I mean that in two different ways. You know, there is the, hey, new blood, woo! Let's have a look and see who we want to play with.
Cult.
But also the more people that see this as an actual enjoyable hobby. I don't know why I've gone all hobby. Well, it is a hobby.
It's normalising, isn't it?
Yes.
We get a team shirt put together.
But it's that normalisation, like, you know, people who we've met who are completely new saying, oh, you know, you guys are actually, this is a nice bar that you've organised. People dress nicely and people are talking like normal folk. And I think that for some people is kind of so enlightening. Like, oh, wow, it's not creepy and seedy and full of people groping each other. That in itself is really positive.
And on the flip side, that's exactly what other people want. I mean, we do get contact with people that say, oh, no, I'm not coming unless, you know, it's a play event. And again, that's absolutely fine. It's just not what we do. But, yeah, in a long-winded way of answering you, we want to run something for the community. Because, again, this is the lifestyle, you know, kink's something new to us, but lifestyle has been something that's always been part of my psychology, my makeup, and actually, why wouldn't I want to do something for my tribe?
That's a nice way of thinking.
Yeah, and that's my driver behind it. I mean, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of time. You know, there's you know, it's certainly not a money spinner or anything like that. It's not a business or anything. But it's something that brings the community together. It allows us to meet new people and have a great time and a little party for the night.
Actually, Barney, I can really attest to that. It's a lot of fucking work, and it really is, and it's like herding cats. Yeah. But actually,
there's lots of people to do it, but be prepared, especially if you're going to use Fab. It is
tedious,
a significant amount of work using Fab as a platform to promote a social.
Hang on, I love the way that Mrs. H is there going, tedious, shaking her head. She has done fuck all on organising anything.
True. I organised the fucking venue. Hello.
I have to say, Barney is the one who really does put the effort in and organises it and does all the spreadsheets and everything else. I kind of turn up on the night with a gin in my hand and say hi.
And talk about anal with Mr. H, yeah.
Talk about anal, you know, put a little dress.
Did we not share like a whole bucket load of marmalade cocktails last time?
Oh my goodness me, there's marmalade
breakfast cocktails.
Oh, they were so good.
I don't know,
oh my God.
Sandwich with me that night.
I did have a sandwich with you. I did. It was
she was very upset to have to share any kind of food, though. To be
sharing is caring. That's right. Apparently, it's what we do.
So, guys, first up, before we close this up, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been absolutely fucking lovely.
Thank you for having us.
Well, it's been lovely seeing you, but also lovely talking to you. So, in terms of the Unseen Lounge, how can the people find out about where to go, what to do, how to get there?
Once Corona gets
Barney, a lot of pressure on you, mate. I'm assuming you're the one that knows the
Emma Stone doesn't know, apparently.
So, if you're on Fab, we are the Unseen Lounge. If you're on Twitter, it's at Unseen Lounge. FetLife, you can get me on again Unseen Lounge. We also have a website. The Unseen Lounge. How we look at that. It all connects to each other, and we promote on the website and on all the social media platforms when we're hosting them. But if you've got any questions, any queries, any ideas, drop me a line. It's I'm all about collaboration. If people want to be involved, if people want help and support, let us know.
And whereabouts are you guys based? Just in case they want to rock up.
What, our home address?
Yeah, your postcode. Come on.
Doors open, but we make off.
We tend to have all our events in Nottingham City.
Yes.
We are based in Nottinghamshire, but Nottingham Centre tends to be where we host the events.
Yeah. The events always move venue, which is why we called it the Unseen Lounge. So the idea is to sort of have it in plain sight, but it's not overt. So every event that we run will be in a different venue. We always try and do it very upscale, and every event is more upscale than the last. This event, when we do eventually do it, we are looking at an immersive, rather not interactive, an immersive burlesque show, which don't ask me what that is yet, but it sounds very intriguing.
I had 10 questions I was going to ask you specifically about immersive burlesque.
I will direct you to the head choreographer.
Well, that sounds amazing. Hopefully, also if people do want to meet you, you'll be able to come down south to our social.
When our social gets put back in,
let free, we'll be there.
With our immersive drinking games.
Fully immersive.
That's amazing, so we can't wait.
So yeah, the venue is sorted. The date is not. So when the UK is not fucked,
not in lockdown,
along with the rest of the world, we'll be sorting out a new date, and hopefully you guys.
Oh my
can
god,
come
what
down.
a party it's going to be! Because everyone will be so ready to party then, right?
I cannot wait to sit in a bar and talk to Emma Stone about anal again for 4 hours.
You can talk about anal anytime, Mr. H.
That's going to be my ringtone now.
Oh my god.
Well,
next episode.
It's going to be really awkward when you're in work again.
Anal with Mr. H is episode 74, folks. It's going to take me at least an episode to get round to this. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so nice chatting to you. And we hope you're surviving in this lockdown, and hopefully everyone's enjoyed these little insights into your lives.
Yeah. I just want to add, how sexy is Barney's accent?
No, it's not at all.
It's really nice. I think people are like that accent.
Do you?
Yeah, people are a sucker for good accents.
Yeah, all right then. Fair enough.
I cannot comment on this. I will thank you for the compliment and shut my mouth.
Hush your guns.
License to go.
All right.
Hit the red button, dear.
Hit the red button.
Yeah.
Do you want me to thank people? Do the thing.
No, you don't need to do the thing.
Yeah, I do need to do the
All
thing.
right, you can do the thing.
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
Yeah.
So you may well be expecting us to do some sort of bit at the end here, but really we haven't actually prepped anything at all. In fact, I'm just editing this on Sunday afternoon, well actually it's evening now, in an attempt to do something and put it at the end of this, which I guess I've now done.
I'll give you something awesome to talk about.
Like what?
I leveled up to level 14.
Yeah, you did. Well done, dear.
I know.
Okay. Anyway, what I was going to suggest was we're now doing a whole suite of stuff on YouTube and on Instagram. So most Saturdays at the moment, since Coronageddon is going on continuously, you can join us at 9 p.m. UK time and have a bit of quizzy fun with us. So,
Quizzy rascals.
She's just a rascal, a quizzy rascal.